is the earth flat or is it round? What the hell's that got to do with finances? My name's Kyle Knott, and I'm not your average finance guy. If you ask a young child who doesn't know any better, he's standing on the ground, and ask him, is the world flat or is it round? Probably going to say flat, because if as you're standing, the top line there, as you're standing on the ground, it appears to be pretty flat. If you're out in the plains, obviously there's mountains, there's hills, there's everything else, but you wouldn't think that it's a circle, right? A sphere, a ball. So, but as you step back and go to space, and the farther away you get, even if you're on Google Maps, you zoom in and you're looking at your house, and then you can zoom back, you can see your neighborhood. Zoom out a little bit farther, you can see the state, the country, until you go all the way out, and then you can see everything. You can see, you have a better perspective on it. You can see that it's actually round. So this is a lot like your finances. So your finances, no matter what it is, unless you managed to hit Bitcoin on the day that it just exploded, or you got into an IPO of a stock, or maybe you're a congressman and you have all the insider information, when stocks are about to go nuts. But the rest of us, we don't have that kind of information. So most of us are going to go with a slow and steady route. Now, yeah, we might swing for the fences every once in a while. You might get lucky. It's kind of like, what is it? The baseball players, the best home run hitters ever in the major leagues, were also the biggest strikeout, had the most strikeouts as well, because they are swinging hard. They're swinging for the fences. So it's like it's either home run or it's a strikeout. So it's one or the other. It's super high or it's super low. So you can, and I'm not saying don't go for some of these more riskier investments, because no risk and no biscuit. The higher the risk, the higher the possible reward, but also the higher the risk, the higher the chances you lose it all too. So just be careful, depending on, know where you're at, know what you've got. And if you've got a little, take a 0.5% or whatever it is of what you've got, and go ahead. If you like to swing for the fences, go ahead and take some shots and let it go. And maybe you'll hit something. I've heard of these like angel investors that come in and bring money to startup companies, and I don't know, what is it, like 80 or 90% of them end up failing, but the one that does make it, like, holy cow, watch out, it's a grand slam. So that's where a little bit of money that you're going to expect to lose, but if and when it hits, then it's really good. It's a really good hit. So maybe allocate a little bit to something like that. But even whatever your investment vehicle is, even if it's stocks, most of the time stocks, yes, they're going to go up, they're going to go down, but over the long run, hopefully, everything keeps on going the way it has been the last 100 years or so, and they're going to continue to kind of work themselves up over time. Maybe it's real estate, maybe it's crypto, maybe whatever it is that gold. I don't know, whatever it is that you feel like you want to invest in. But it's kind of like this: is the earth flat? If the first day it seems like it's pretty flat, if you buy a stock on day one, and regarding whatever happens to it, it's going to flutter a little bit, probably a couple cents, maybe a couple dollars, depending how volatile the stock is. After the first day, you're probably not going to have enough to retire. Now, maybe, like I said, maybe it is, if you hit that right one, you could, but it's going to take time. If you maybe invest in the S&P 500, and over time, it's going to chip up, and you'll see not over the hour, not over the day, week, or the year, but in decades, you will begin to zoom out and see the fruits of what you've done. And it does take decades to do this. So I guess the moral of the story here is start as soon as you possibly can, because if you get on a compounding calculator somewhere, and you say every one of them has how much are you starting with, and are you going to be putting more money in as time goes on? So is it yearly, is it monthly, is it weekly, whatever. You can do whatever you want there, but all of them will agree that the uninterrupted compounding interest, the longer that your money is in there compounding, it starts flat. But then pretty soon you're going to see that curve, and it's going to, if you leave it in there long enough, play around with a compounding calculator, and that thing starts flat and it starts to come up, 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 up. And by the very end, I mean, that thing is almost, it's literally exponential because of how big it is. And that thing seems to be going straight up in the air, and that's your cash. So if you look into those, and sometimes it takes 50 years to be able to see it go at that true vertical. So what if you delayed investing? Like, yeah, I'll get to it at some point. If you delay it 1 year, look at that compounding calculator and look at, say you have a 35 years in there, okay? And you put in 35, but that means you start right now. You have to start right now. And in 35 years, here's what it'll be. If you delay that by 1 year, what are you doing? You now took that 35-year span and you cut it back to 34 years. So get in that calculator and see what the difference was between year 35 and year 34. Everyone's going to have different numbers, but that will be astonishing. Say you put $5,000 in just to start and $5,000 a year, and at the end of 35 years, depending on everything else that's in there, I mean, it'll be hundreds of thousands of dollars. Every situation is different, but it will blow your mind of how much money that you are leaving by not starting right now. Okay. The best time to plant a tree was 30 years ago. The second best time is right now. Don't wait till next year. If you're looking for that shade, you're looking for the fruit, the nuts, whatever that you're looking for from that tree, it takes some time to build and grow, but it could grow into a big, steady, sturdy thing that provides you what you need, shade. And finances are no different. It takes time, and you just have to look at the long picture, look at the big view. Is the world flat or is it curved? Let's zoom out. Let's see where we're going to be in X amount of time. And I know everyone's on a different time frame. Obviously, you should get this started for your kids the day they were born. And if you don't do that, that's obviously the best. But if not, some people are going to find themselves a little closer to retirement in their later years, but it's still better than nothing. Say, well, I'm too old, I can't do that. It's like, okay, so you're just going to live off of Social Security, and what kind of income are you going to be able to live off of with that? And are they going to tax it? Are they going to? Depends on the administration's in there and how they tax that. And I wouldn't want to do it. So really look into investing. I've got a ton of videos on all this stuff. Remember, I am not your average finance guy, so this is not the usual, just hand your money over to a financial advisor and let them do it and collect fees. It's bringing the power back into yourself. You control your money. Nobody cares about your money more than you do. So really take a look at that and look at some of these other, the infinite banking concept is a way that you can really have your money growing in two places at once. You have the infinite banking, your own personal bank that grows at a minimum of 4%, usually around 5-6%, somewhere in there. But after that, you can borrow against it. You can put it into another investment, and the cash flow that comes off this, you repay it back. And once this other investment's paid off, now you pull another loan against this one, and you just start lining up other cash flowing investments that can just keep feeding your lifestyle and know where you want to be. What's your why? Why do you want money? Maybe you don't need money. If you live a simple life, you don't need much money, then that's cool. You're going to get to where you want to go quicker. So it's just we're not really banking on, if you lost your job, if they cut back, what would happen? It's always good to have multiple sources of income and look at things from a little different angles every once in a while. So, all right, I'm not your average finance guy, and I hope this helps. Good luck, everybody.